Today, we're about to break Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel with infinite loops. You guys are probably wondering, what's an infinite loop? Let's find out. Wow! What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Sam from Team Samurai when you're happy Thursday. Guys, in today's video, we're going to be breaking Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And you guys are probably wondering,
Sam, what do you mean by breaking?
we're going to literally break the game 100,000% with infinite loop. If you guys are wondering what's an infinite loop, and today I have the best person to explain to you guys what an infinite loop is and how we can achieve it in today's Master Duel video. Kevin! Kevin!
What's up, Sam? How you doing, bro?
What's up, Kevin? Guys, this is Distant Coder, the Judge Man himself. You know Judge Man?
I do know Judge Man. That's me. That's who I am.
Kevin, can you explain to us what an infinite loop is, please?
Of course. So what's going on, guys? It's your boy Distant Coder, and today Sam and I are going to be showcasing to you guys the infinite loops that I have found over on my channel that are able to destroy Master Duel. Infinite loops that are not able to be stopped manually. So as you've seen on Sam's channel before, Jesse showcased the 6 Samurai infinite loop, but that is what's known as a controlled loop. It's a loop in which a player can choose to continue doing it or choose to stop. The infinite loops that we're going to be showing you today are loops that, once started, cannot end. They are loops that you cannot choose to stop. The only way you can stop them is by hitting the surrender button.
Wait, Kevin, so you're telling me that like this loop is like a continuous loop? Like it just keeps going, like an infinity sign?
Like, I'm literally telling you that if you do not surrender, this loop will go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Kevin! For real?
For real, dude. You want to get in and show them?
I'm excited, let's go.
Sam!
Kevin!
I have the infinite loop set up and ready to go. Are you prepared to see Master Duel breaking before your very eyes?
Kevin, I don't know what this is all about, but I'm super down. You have a cactus fighter, chicken game, and 2 back row set. Okay, I'm excited, man.
I do indeed have a cactus fighter, a chicken game, and 2 back row set. I'm gonna pass turn to you, Sam. On your draw phase, I'm going to activate a card known as All Out Attacks. Now, what All Out Attacks does is it says if a monster special summon this turn, it's changed to attack, and it has to attack this turn if able. Simple as that. And then on resolution of that, I'm gonna activate Give and Take. So I'm gonna be giving you a monster from my graveyard. All right. So here, why don't you have this cute little Protron that I have in my grave? All yours. You can have Protron. My pleasure. So All Out Attacks is going to change Protron to attack, and that's the infinite loop.
Huh? Well, where's the loop?
Why don't you try ending your turn for me, Sam?
I can't click my end phase.
The reason you cannot click your end phase is because All Out Attack says that your Protron must attack if able, meaning that you cannot end your turn without going to the battle phase first and attacking with your Protron. So why don't you go ahead and do that? Why don't you go ahead, go to the battle phase, and attack with your Protron? Simple enough, right? Doesn't seem like it would cause any weird infinite loop now, would it? So yeah, you have no choice. You have to attack my Cactus Fighter. So at this point, your Protron dies. My Cactus Fighter's mandatory effect will activate to summon you a token. All Out Attacks will change your token to attack, and now your token must attack if able. And believe it or not, Cactus Fighter is not once per turn, so there's your infinite loop. You're gonna have to keep crashing and crashing and crashing into the Cactus Fighter. Now, here's the interesting part about it. If it wasn't for the fact that there was a chicken game on your board, on my board or on your board, you would be losing due to, you know, your life points going to 0. But because there's a chicken game on board, this is an infinite loop. And even though it is, to a certain extent, a manual infinite loop, it's an infinite loop that neither player can choose to stop. But in this situation, specifically on Master Duel, this infinite loop will always result in a win for me. And the reason why is because Master Duel has a timer. So I can turn on auto zone placement, making it so I don't even have to put my hands on my mouse or on my keyboard or anything. If you crash into my Cactus Fighter, it'll automatically summon the token to your middle monster zone. I don't even have to do anything for that. But you have to manually declare your attacks, meaning your timer keeps going down, my timer does not.
Wait, so
this
I
infinite
can't
loop,
so I can't even click end. I'm trying to click.
Yeah, you cannot leave your battle phase because every time I summon a token to your field, All Out Attacks makes it so it goes to attack, and it must attack if able. So unless you had a means of removing my All Out Attacks, removing your token, removing my Cactus Fighter, there's no way to out the loop, and you only have 1 card in your hand that you drew for turn. So in this situation, you don't have an out. You have no other choice other than to keep attacking my Cactus Fighter with your Needle token, resulting in an infinite loop that makes it so that you will ultimately lose the duel due to timeout.
Kevin, I am trying to click. I'm clicking on my mouse. It's not letting me click to enter. I'm clicking on my mouse, Kevin. So I need to keep...
You cannot click. You cannot. You have to keep attacking. That is the only legal action you can do right now is attack. This loop is specifically caused by the fact that Cactus Fighter is not once per turn and is mandatory. Now, all of these effects are mandatory. If either one of these effects were optional, you would be able to choose to not activate one of these effects. But as I said, I'm not even putting my hands on my keyboard or on my mouse or anything, and my cards are just acting by themselves because they are mandatory effects. So the game won't ask me, do you want to activate this? I don't have a choice but to activate this. But in this situation, my timer's not going down.
Wait,
your timer is, so you'll lose the duel.
So basically, this loop results in me automatically losing because of the timer, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, you will lose 100% due to the timer.
So the only button that I can possibly click is the surrender button right here.
Is the surrender button. Yeah, the surrender button is the only way you'll get out of there without having to wait for that timer to hit 0.
Wow. How did you figure this out?
I mean, okay, finding infinite loops is not that hard. The thing is with infinite loops, more often than not, the things you're looking for are cards that don't say once per turn and cards that are mandatory. And after that, once you find cards that are not once per turn and mandatory, you can kind of figure out a way to make them, you know, work together in a way that would loop infinitely, which is what I did for the next infinite loop that I'm going to be showing you and your viewers today.
All right, Kevin, congratulations. Here you go.
I win! I beat the one and only Team Samurai X1. Crazy.
All right, let's go on to the next one, Kevin. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, Sam. It is time for me to show you an infinite loop that will blow your mind.
Is this better than the first one?
Oh, it's better than the first one. This is one that results in some really wacky stuff happening.
Okay. Okay, I want to see this.
So, I'm going to flip a card that you're familiar with at this point, which is All Out Attacks. The card that says if a monster special summon, it's changed to attack position and must attack if able. In this situation, All Out Attacks is a mandatory effect, and you have a face-down monster that has a mandatory flip effect. It's Morphing Jar number 2.
Right.
Now, what Morphing Jar number 2 does is that if it's flipped, it will shuffle all monsters on the field back into their owner's decks, and then you will excavate cards off the top of your deck until you hit the same number of monsters that you shuffled. Now, the thing is, your deck contains only Morphing Jar number 2. So
Right.
why don't you flip up Morphing Jar number 2, and as the loop is happening, I'll basically explain what it is that we're witnessing. So go ahead and flip summon that jar.
Okay.
So here, Jar's mandatory effect's going to activate, shuffles itself into the deck, and then you're going to start excavating a spell, and a spell, and a spell, and a spell, until you hit the Morphing Jar number 2 again. Now here you've just excavated another part of the combo, Sword of Deep-Seated. So basically, what the loop that we create here is that when the Morphing Jar is hit, it's set back onto the field, at which point my all-out attacks is going to trigger to flip your Morphing Jar number 2 face up again. So as you can see, you're not pressing any buttons, and I'm not pressing any buttons. All-out attacks flips Jar, Sword of Deep-Seated return themselves back into the deck, and then Jar activates again, shuffles itself back into the deck, and starts excavating again. Now, again, like I said before, this is an infinite loop that is not one that is controlled. Neither you nor I have the power to end this loop. The loop is just going to keep going and going and going, and because your Swords of Deep-Seated keep putting themselves back into the deck, you're never going to run out of cards. So every time that your Jar is summoned, it's going to get flipped face up, returned back into the deck along with your Swords of Deep-Seated, so you'll always have at the very least 4 cards in your deck, and then Jar's going to summon, flip again, and do the whole thing over and over and over and over again.
Oh my god.
So here, as you can see, all out attacks are going to flip your Jar, and then your 2 Swords of Deep-Seated are going to go right back into your deck. So the 2 swords go right back into your deck, and then the Jar activates on resolution again, going right back into the deck, and then excavating and excavating and excavating. But because Swords of Deep-Seated are also a mandatory not once per turn effect, they will keep returning themselves to the deck, like we're seeing right here. So like I said before, infinite loops usually are going to be caused by mandatory non-once per turn effects, which here we have 3 of. All out attacks is mandatory, not once per turn. Morphing jar number 2 is a mandatory, not once per turn. And Sword of Deep-Seated is a mandatory, not once per turn. If you look at your deck count right now, you have 1 morphing jar number 2 and 3 Swords of Deep-Seated. Those are the only cards in your deck.
I have 2
Yet
cards.
this loop is continuing. Yeah, you have 3 now and 4. So the 4 cards in your deck are the jar and the 3 Swords of Deep-Seated. So we're not pressing anything. The game is just doing this all entirely by itself. You know what I mean? So this is just going to loop infinitely and infinitely and infinitely. Now, I know what you're asking yourself. How does Master Duel handle this loop? What are they going to do? Does the game just keep going infinitely? Take a wild guess what they do.
What do they do?
Well, take a guess. I'm not just going to give you the answer. That's a little boring.
So right now the timer is not going down, Evan.
Yeah, it's not. It's not going down for you or for me.
So what happens? Like, does the game just crash or?
The game...
It just stops.
The loop is supposed to keep going again and again and again. Now, a thing that I have noticed from testing a lot of infinite loops in Master Duel is that if Master Duel notices that a loop occurs 11 times, it'll tend to stop it. But the thing with Morphing Jar number 2, when I did it, it kept looping. It looped for like 12, 13, 14, 15 times, and then it gave me a loss. So either they patched it, or they basically gave it that same 11 time rule. There's another infinite loop that I can show you to prove to you this 11 times rule for infinite loops, if you're down to see one last infinite loop.
100%, please.
Okay, Sam, here we have another infinite loop being created. On my field, I control King Tiger Wang Hu, which says when a monster with 1400 or less attack is normal or special summoned, destroy those monsters with 1400 or less attack. This is a mandatory, not once per turn effect, like I said. And in your graveyard, you have Destiny Hero Departed, another monster with a mandatory, not once per turn effect that says during your standby phase, Sam, your Departed is going to be summoned to my side of the field. But Departed is a lot smaller than 1400 attack. So once I pass to you during your standby phase, here's what's going to happen. Your Departed is going to trigger. All you got to do is toggle off for your chain. Your Departed is going to trigger and is going to summon itself to my side of the field. My Wang Hu is then going to destroy it, at which point your Departed is going to activate again, summoning itself to my field, and my Wang Hu is going to destroy it. But like I said to you, Master Duel has this rule of 11. So that was the 3rd activation. This is the 4th activation of Departed.
Okay.
Count to 11, and you'll see the 11th activation, it will not activate. So this is the 5th. It gets destroyed. It's going to activate a 6th time. It's going to summon to my field. It's going to get destroyed. The loop is going to go 10 times, and on the 11th activation of your Departed, it's not going to activate. So just give it a quick second, and you will see. And I think this is what happened with our Morphing Jar number 2 loop. In real life, this loop is infinite. This loop does not end. But on Master Duel, it triggers 11 times, and on the 11th time, you'll see it, I think this time. Yeah, there you go. It triggered an 11th time, and it just did not resolve the Departed. So Master Duel does have a little bit of a failsafe to stop certain infinite loops that are not controlled and require 0 input from a player. So that's why the Cactus Fighter loop is not one that Master Duel stops. It just forces you to keep going and going and going, because the Cactus Fighter loop is one that requires manual input from a player, that being you declaring an attack. For the Morphing Jar number 2 loop, for some reason on my video, like I showed you, it triggers multiple times, and then it results in me getting a loss for some reason. I think they might have patched it, and they might have added the 11-time rule to it. But in this situation, with the Destiny Hero Departed, it'll effectively summon the Departed 10 times, and on the 11th time that it attempts to summon it, it just won't resolve the effect. It activates, but doesn't resolve.
Wow, Evan, this was insane. Holy. I'm mind blown right now. Yeah, so Kevin, so like you just decided one day that you just wanted to be a menace and just broke the game? Is that what you wanted?
Oh, dude, I woke up and chose violence, and I'll tell you.
Guys, this Kevin, thank you so much. This was insane. Yo,
dude, it's my pleasure, bro. I love infinite loops, and I love testing the boundaries of certain like auto sims. And when Konami released their own auto sim, I just really wanted to test the boundaries of this, and I still do it. Like on my channel, I have a lot of videos testing rulings, testing infinite loops and stuff like that. And like these are just a couple of the cooler ones that we saw, but there's a couple that have yet to go up on my channel that I'm really excited to go up because they were also really cool. There's a few that are on my channel that I didn't show you today, but these are some of the few infinite loops that we've tested, but I've tested a lot of them.
Wow. Kevin, again, Guys, please make sure you guys check out Distant Coder's channel. I'll leave the links in the description box below for you guys to check it out. Kevin, I'm very excited to see all the other loops that you haven't planned on your channel. Guys, if you guys haven't subscribed to Kevin yet, please make sure you do.
Dude,
this was fun.
Thank you so much for having me on, Sam. This is really lit.
No, bro.
And I hope that you and your audience really like these infinite loops.
We do.
This is the kind of thing that to me is just so much fun. It's like, this is so different. It's so unique. It's the kind of thing you see in Yu-Gi-Oh a lot. And finding these infinite loops and making them work is like something that I'm really passionate about. I think they're really fun to do.
Yo, honestly, my subscribers have been challenging me to do crazier things on Master Duel, and this is like one of them. Like they always want to see different things in Master Duel, different win conditions, and adding infinite loops into the mix, man. I'm sure they're all gonna love it. I hope you guys all loved it. Make sure you guys check out Kevin's channel. Kevin, thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one, bro.
It's my pleasure, bro.
All right, guys. This is your boy Sam and Kevin signing out. All right, guys.
Peace.